Okay, we're back. Oh, that was odd. Although, other thing to come back to. EJ run the car into the wall there. And the track is definitely getting wetter, but it's not looking wet enough for Inters just yet. And as it stands right now, EJ is actually out of the session. Oh, as he retires it, there he goes. I think EJ calls it quits, and you join us back at the end of Q2. And a very weird technical concern, I think more likely on YouTube's end than on ours, because everything's been running fine from my end all night, so unsure as what's going on there, but damn fastest, followed by Pope. Che and Imri in 4th place. Imri got himself into the top 10 in the end. Landlord 5th, AT in 6th, and Brashman, HB Cook makes another Q3, Ethan P9 and Curtis P10, so a number of teams there with drivers who are lower in the championship getting us into Q3 here. We're losing EJ, Obsessed, Ericsson, PJ, and Ben. Again, 1.2 seconds covering the top 15 there. We're looking at a close Q3. It should be very exciting indeed. Well, the rain has well and truly arrived here. Q3 about to get underway, and the fight for the 11th pole position of the season about to get underway. And with no Grumio on the picture, it's anyone's guess as to who it will be today. It should be very, very exciting indeed. As two Haas cars, the first into the circuit, we're looking at wet weather for the first time in terms of running, but several drivers taking the chance and going for soft tyres while they still can. It should make for a very entertaining start to the session here as we look to see what the pace is like on these softs, but a few cars not taking that risk and going for inters immediately. Ethan's looking at inters, Imri also looking at inters. Imri's going to the circuit there, looking for another pole. So it's all to play for then. Again, the majority of the cars looking at soft tyres, just 2 or 3 looking at inters here. Brashman's still looking at inters on the circuit, same with Ethan, but Imri's gone for it. So we'll see who comes up with the faster lap time. But once again, Dan will be the first car through here. And we'll see how those softs fare. But eyes will also be in Imri to see how the inters fare, as well as Brashman and Ethan yet to emerge into the racetrack here. I mean, it seems as though they're getting away with it, the soft tyre runners so far. We'll keep an eye out for any yellow flags, should that fail to be the case. I think a yellow down turn 9. Actually, that's Imri on the inters. I think backing off. Perhaps trying to charge some battery up, get his tyres a bit warmer before going for it. Dan down towards turn 4. Imri gets the hammer down once again and starts on what could be potentially the fastest time, depending on how the inters manage compared to the softs. As you see Dan sliding there, leaving turn 4. Whether those slides will sort of play into things. How much time does he lose as a result? It's 48.3 for Dan, second sector. We'll have to see by comparison where Imri comes out. I think Dan should reach the line before Imri reaches the second sector split. Last few corners here, we were looking at 1 minute 3s, 1 minute 4s in Q2. This time the time's a lot slower as Dan rounds the last corner towards the line. Be a 1 minute 10 here, 1 minute 9.9. As Che goes fast, 1 minute 9.6. Where is Imri? What time is he putting in? 47.9. It looks to be faster. Has he made the right call in the inters then? Because if he has, then he'll be emerging with provisional pole here should he get this last few corners out, because invalidated a few times already today. Last corner. Imri keeps the car on the circuit just. DRS in play towards the line. He will go faster, but only by 2/10 there. 1 minute 9.4 on the board. Imri then on provisional pole, looking to go back-to-back pole position this week. And that'll be a good showing for Ethan and for Brashman. Both made the choice for Inters on their first laps here. As Brashman rounds the last corner towards the line, looking at 1 minute 10 here. 1 minute 10.3, set up for P6. But Che, Dan, Pope and Landlord all together there. So Imri fastest. So imagine we should see everyone potentially looking at sets of Inters now. And I imagine that this could be the fastest that the times get. I imagine potentially we might see a bit of improvement from some of the cars who did go on the soft tyres, the faster cars, such as the rest of the cars in that top 5. Che, Dan, Pope, Landlord. AT invalidating his lap there. 11.1 for him in his last run. Curtis 17.0 his first sector. Ethan goes across the line P8 from 1 minute 11.662 on those intermediate tyres. .7 for Ethan. AT invalidating. 49.0 for Curtis. It's about a second or so down on the laps of Che and Dan last time round. Dan on the Inters now. Che also on the Inters. So intermediate tyres are the primary the weapon of choice now for the rest of this session. That we're looking at 1 and maybe 2 more runs at best for everyone, because Austria is just short circuit. Curtis 1:11.3, enough for 8th place. Only AT gets set a lap time. He's still down those soft tyres. Will likely pit here. Yes, he will. Both McLarens, both Haas cars there in Q3. The only 2 teams get both their cars in. Curtis still going here. Pushing on those Inters. Imri, Dan, Che, Pope, all on the circuit again. Well, Imri actually stopping stationary here, up at turn 3. I think letting Che go, yes. DRS disabled now, and we're looking at likely much slower times here from everyone, given the conditions. So 5 minutes to go here. And we're looking as though we may not see a lot of improvement from here on out. As the tyres obviously not getting, well, the conditions not getting any drier. Dan third fast, and not improving there, losing about half a second on his last effort. Che's a second down. And we're looking here at what looks like looks like an Imri pole. I think Shorts for drawing up miraculously these next few minutes and everyone get a chance to put soft tyres on. Imri retires, Che also retires, so I think we're looking like a quick end to qualifying from here. And the top 10, short of any improvement to mistakes, looks more or less set. towards the line for Dan. Can't improve. 10 seconds off. Long way away there from pole. There's just 3 minutes left here. It's Pope not improving himself. Everyone's pushing to try and find improvements, but there's nowhere to be found right now. Landlord invalidating. And it's looking like a rather anticlimactic end to qualifying as it stands. There's 2.5 minutes left. I think likely we should see everyone return to the pits. I think short of AT, we're still trying to get a lap in, but struggling here. Right of the circuit there. But apparently keeping the lap valid. Dan disconnects. Pope there P4, Landlord P5. So McLaren looking again at 2 cars in the top 10. So 2 minutes left. And it's looking like there'll be no more improvements from here. But I think 80 is about to get a lap in this time. So we'll get all 10 cars putting a lap on the board. And he does indeed. 1 minute 14.7. But not enough to improve anything. He stays in P10 here. Last minute then. And with the majority of cars in the pit lane, we're looking like this will be it. HP Cook retiring there. Just 5 cars left still going. 2 of them on the circuit, Landlord and AT. Landlord going for 1 more lap, but is not improving. 4 tenths down on his last effort. And it's looking like Imrie pole once again. AT goes 8th fastest because it finds 3 seconds and puts himself on the 4th row. AT retiring it there, just waiting for Landlord now to come through, and that'll cap off qualifying. So again, a rather anticlimactic end to things here, as obviously a few guys ran the risk of soft tyres at the start of the session. It didn't pay off for them. Imrie to have full faith in the Inters and comes through and takes pole once again here. Perhaps a second chance to try and get himself a victory this season. And in 36 laps time around the Red Bull Ring, we'll find out if that comes to fruition. As Landlord brings the car to the line. And that'll do it for qualifying then. So, Imrie on pole, from Che in 2nd, Dan in 3rd, Pope 4th, Landlord 5th, Brashman P6. Fantastic qualifying from the reserve driver there. HP Cook P7, another brilliant qualifying for the Sauber driver, looking for another points-paying result. AT in 8th, Curtis 9th, and Ethan rounds out your top 10. So that will do it then for qualifying. And we'll catch you in a few minutes' time for the start of the Grand Prix. So here we go now, about a minute or so away from getting underway in the Austrian Grand Prix and what should be a fantastic race here in the Styrian Hills. And apologies for the issues we've been dealing with in qualifying. Hopefully those should all be fixed. Hopefully, if anyone's going to let me know if the stream's running okay, then that'd be greatly appreciated. A look at the circuit before we get into it. Of course, the Red Bull Ring, one of the shortest tracks on the calendar. Lando won last season's race, 36 laps awaiting us here. The conditions still quite cloudy here. Whether we do get some rain later on, I have to wait and see on that front. 10 corners on the circuit, shortest lap of the season. We're setting minute laps earlier on in this thing. Obviously, longer laps during Q3 thanks to the rainy conditions. But Imrie on pole and looking to try and take home his first victory in over a year or so in terms of the real world and a few seasons in terms of RDL. Last victory of season 16 Guitars, who said several times in the last few weeks he guns for his first victory in his third pole. Well, I believe it's his third, perhaps even fourth pole of the season. Looking for a good result to try and redeem himself for Canada last week as well. Those two Haas cars are going to try and score some points in Grumio's absence. As the formation about to get underway here. 19 cars on the starting grid. And we'll have a look now at your full grid for the Austrian Grand Prix here in season 19. So back row by himself is Courtney Goblin in the Mercedes, looking at hard tyres for the race start. Everyone on mediums and hards. This one, the entirety of the bottom 8 or so of the grid, all on hard tyres. JB and Cott lamped together on row number 9. Both of them a shock end to their Q1s. 10th Cannon missing out by about 36 thousandths of a second to Ben, who qualifies in P15. Of course, Obsessed was the last car through. He lands at P12. PJ there, P14. Hard tyres on for him. Same for Ericsson and Obsessed in front. Obsessed reserving today for Websy. EJ lands at P11. Of course, penalty last week after the safety car restart infringement. Gained a number of places and was part of the shunt at the first corner. Ethan lines up P10 on medium tyres as well, gunning for his, trying to add to his 22 points from this season. Curtis in P9. Again, looking to try and continue on his streak of solid finishes, trying to get himself some more points to help Ferrari away from P9 in the standings in the constructors. ATP8 there was fast earlier on in qualifying. I think the rainy conditions didn't quite work to his effect. Lands at P8. HB Cook, fantastic in recent weeks. Looking to continue on his strong form with another points paying finish. Brashman P6, the reserve tonight, lining up for RB, replacing Alvar. Obviously can't score, but looking for a strong result. Landlord P5 there. Currently 3 points back from Imrie in 4th place. If Imrie takes a wrong turn, this could be a chance for him to capitalise. Of course, won this race last season. Pope lines up P4. Pope and Dan, the two drivers to have won races this season that aren't Grumio. Of course, Pope won Saudi Arabia and Dan won Monaco the last time Grumio wasn't here. Che lines up P2 and Imrie lines up on pole. Those two were gunning for the race at the first corner. And the last time these two went head-to-head going towards turn 1, we saw them both collide. At the exit of turn 1 in Monaco, Dan went through to take the lead from both of them and cruised to victory over Pope. So can we get deja vu potentially as the last few cars take their spots here at the back of the starting grid and look into what should be an absolutely remarkable race as Imrie takes his spot at the front. Courtney Goblin, last spot there in the back, and Cotton's position behind, just in front of him. And waiting now on the lights. Here they come for the Austrian Grand Prix, round number 11 of the season. The lights are on. Lights out, foot to the floor, and we are racing. Good start from Che. Fantastic start from Che. Over Imrie, gets the better jump off the line. Going into turn 1. Dan covers Pope off. Lando making that move around the outside for 4th place. Makes the move stick. Leaving turn 1. Pope down the spot. Brashman holds on to P6. HP behind him. It's all single file. Down to a round of Obsessed Gamer in P12. He's got a number of cars. Gaggling up behind him. There goes Cott making the move to the middle lane. Going towards the outside here. Looking towards turn 3. Trying to avoid contact if he can. And Ericsson doing the same thing. Ericsson off the circuit there. Falls down the order, but Che leads over Imrie. Of course, those two are on different strategies here. Hard tyres for Imrie, mediums for Che. And Che using those to his benefit as Dan is trying for a move on a second down. Imrie is stuck there in a Haas sandwich as they leave turn 4 and towards turn 5. But Che leads and you saw a fantastic get off the line over the Red Bull next to him. Took full advantage of Imrie struggling to get away. And up into the lead now and showing the way, looking for his first win of the season. HP Cook's got Brashman all over him there. Curtis and EJ, both Ferraris in the top 10 has come through to complete the first lap. AT down in P10's, lost a few places wide there at turn 9. Recovers the car, gets it off moving again. But perhaps might find some under pressure from Ethan as they leave turn 1. Che leads the first lap from Imrie and Dan. That's your top 3, and it's Landlord P4 as it goes single file all the way through here. Save for Obsessed Gamer going for a move on Ethan into turn 1. Those two side by side, Obsessed over the curb there. I imagine he may potentially got a warning for that, but DRS in play for him of both cars here as the Aston Martin gets it narrowly off of AT and P10. Can Obsessed go for a move to the inside? Potentially can't think of it, keeps himself where he is. But there goes Ben making the pass on Obsessed instead as they leave turn 3. Down the hill once again, DRS in play for both cars, and Ben with the nose in front and will clear Obsessed going towards the 4th corner. And there goes PJ looking for a move potentially as well, sending it to the inside of the Alpine, making his way into turn 4. Can't do it. Cott trying the outside on corner exit. Can't make that move stick either. 10th, JB, Cotney and Ericsson bring up the rear. Che leading here by almost a second to Imri already, and Dan half a second back from the Red Bull. And Che is putting the burners on early on in this Grand Prix. 1.3 to the good here, and that could put Imri under serious trouble from Dan behind him as they lead the last corner to a complete lap 2. All single file here as Che again fastest lap. Those medium tyres working a dream here for Imri as Courtney Goblin gets the first penalty of the night here. 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings because Austria is a track notorious for that sort of thing. So keep an eye out for that over the course of the night. Will it play into the race win later? Have to wait and see. But for now, though, Che is making sure he can try and avoid that as best he can as he leaves 1.6 to Imri. He's being challenged by Dan now to the inside into turn 3. Locks up a little bit on corner entry and on corner exit, pulling out front by a nose there. But Dan again with DRS and it's still quite close. And Dan makes the clearance. Cool as you like. And there goes Landlord 2. Double whammy for Imri. Down 2 more spots here. The pulses are down to P4 in the early advance to this race. And Pope may try and counter 2 from P5. HP Cook in P6. That's your train there. But up front, it's still Che. And Dan will try and hold these guys behind him at base so his teammate can try and pull an even bigger advantage. Of course, Dan is the car in main focus for the team in the Drivers' Championship. 76 points back from Grumio. Any points he gains today are points gained on the Championship leader. Could bring it down to 51 with the victory today. It'll be critical for Haas that Dan win this race in order to continue their push for the Drivers' Championship. But it's a big game for them. The 1-2 in the Constructors. Of course, they come into this one already ahead of Williams by 9 points. And looking potentially to expand that lead to around, we're looking at about, if I get my numbers right, we're looking at about 52 points here at the standings as it stands between Haas and Williams. So that's a big advantage to be opened up. In a number of seasons here where it's been the combination of Grumio and Landlord taking home the Constructors. Che and Dan can try and break that streak for the first time in 4 seasons. The last time a team that didn't have either one of those 2 drivers in it won the Constructors was back in season 15, Fan and BJ from Mercedes. Landlord is still there in 3rd place. Imri being put under pressure from Pope. Season 11 champion looking to try and take P4 away. HP could hold on to the train here on those medium tyres. There's 2 cars and hards in that top 6. Those cars being Imri and Dan. And Che is being reeled in a little bit here as Obsessed gets hit with a penalty for multiple warnings. There's 3 cars now. Sorry, apologies, no, just 2 cars. I thought I saw a 3rd one up top. Not to be for the minute, but Imri will have DRS off of Landlord. Dan is within a second now of Che. Is Che backing up perhaps to allow his teammates to get DRS, keep away any pressure from Landlord behind? Of course, we've seen how notorious Landlord can be at this circuit. As I say, one of the races he won last season, so looking to try and go back-to-back in the same way Imri went back-to-back in poles last week and this week, but currently struggling in 4th place. And locking up again there at turn 3. There goes EJ to the inside, making a move on Brashman into turn 3. Can't quite do it, didn't get enough for run. Brashman holds on to the spot, and AT may try and take advantage of EJ's misdemeanor going up towards turn 4 now, down the hill into the right-hander, making a send there. The McLaren on the Ferrari going into turn number 4. Shade to the 1990s. And up into 8th place goes AT. Cool as you like there, and what a send it was on EJ. Curtis bringing up the points paying places in P10. He's got Ben for company in his mirrors in P11. So it's the second back to Cott, who's made steady progress so far in this Grand Prix course. Of those cars who got eliminated in Q1, those cars being obviously Cott, 10th, JB and Courtney Goblin. Cott's made the most progress as Imri gets hit with a penalty for multiple warnings, and there it is. Austria already catching out a number of cars in terms of penalties, and that could be costly for the race win later on. I mentioned it earlier on this evening, but of course you think back to last season's race here as Dan and Che go fighting for the lead. Dan wins out on this occasion, easy as you like, in towards turn at number 3. Che will get DRS as a result, being the car behind at the detection point going towards the peak of the apex. Che will try and close that gap back down, but Dan is in front by a few tenths here. So there goes Pope on the move for Imri. And things get worse and worse for the pole sitter here. Down 4 places in the first 5.5 laps completed, and a penalty to boot as well. Tough stuff so far. Imri currently will be in a net P6, given that AT is 3 seconds back from HP Cook as it stands. So as it stands right now, Imri's safe in 6th. You have to hope we can try and build a bit more time on the cars running from P7 on back. But it's his main concern is trying to get around Pope for P4 again. Perhaps it's the tyres, not entirely sure what the struggle could be. But down those hard tyres himself, doing a fantastic job leading the way. But does his teammate Che get a run at him potentially? Hasser dominating in the early stages. Landon into 3rd place. Pope 4th, Imri now 5th. HP Cook there still in 6th place. Remarkable job for him to keep up with the leaders here. Che penalty now. So that's 2 cars in the top 6 in that lead train with penalties. AT will be looking at his lips. The prospect of one of those cars towards the tail end of the train. Perhaps getting one if he can close in a little bit. He's trying to pull away from Brashman, but not too much effect right now. As EJ and Curtis again bring up the top 10. Ben is still on his tail. Cott is right on their heel, snapping back at them in P12 as Che reclaims the lead from Dan, but obviously has that penalty to think about now. And as it stands, that will currently put him down to 6th place himself. Or rather, apologies, that would be 5th place, as Imri has his own penalty to think about. And of course, those 3-second penalties, you can't get those away. You can't get rid of those in the pit lane. So the 2 Haas cars trading the lead back and forth here. So we're nearing a quarter distance already. Dan closes the gap a little bit there. Doesn't go for a move just yet. We'll hold it for the minute. And we'll look to try and counter up towards turn 3. And this should be light work for the trailing car. There goes Dan up into the race lead once again. And put these 2 far enough in front now to the point where Landau is almost losing DRS. In fact, he has lost it. So no, he hasn't lost DRS. He's still within 8/10 side. The wrong thing on my timing screen there. He's still holding both Pope and Imri at bay. HP Cook's still in DRS range. And he's now 4 seconds in front of AT. So they're really breaking away from that train from 7th on back. That's more or less the entire rest of the pack here. As there goes Brashman making a move. He now leads the train on the inside of AT in towards turn 4. It goes a bit deep there. And the McLaren might take advantage on corner exit. Can't do it. So Brashman then now leads this train. Can he try and pull a gap on the cars behind him? Have to wait and see. Again, no real change from 7th on back, save for those 2 changing spots there. Courtney Goblin, Ericsson, 10th Cannon, all at risk of falling off the train right now. 10th dead last. Wide there at turn 9, not helping her case as she continues to try and chase down Ericsson for P18. Of course, probably take advantage of those few cars in front of her with penalties, those 2 being Obsessed and Courtney Goblin. And now AT gets one too as Pope makes his move on Landlord, takes away P3, going in towards turn number 3. And 2 former champions going at it wheel to wheel on corner exit, or rather going up towards the corner. Pope wins out. EJ now passing Curtis, the 2 Ferrari teammates side by side as Obsessed gets hit with another penalty there. 6 seconds now for both Courtney and Obsessed. As Curtis being put under pressure by his teammate again, side by side towards turn 4. Behind them, Ben and Cott nose to nose. Cott around the outside. Can he try and squeeze past Ben? He can do. Up into P11 now goes Cott. And it's Alpine's sole hope for points in this race. Looking potentially... Oh, contact! And colliding there with Curtis as EJ was dancing on past both of them. Side by side through turn 7. Cott wins out, takes the point away. And it doesn't look like he's got too much damage here, so fortunate to continue on as he is. Neither one of the 2 cars pitting, so all seems okay between the pair of them. Both continue on as Curtis runs wide there, leaving turn 10, and Ben takes full advantage into P11 now. And Curtis is dropping through the field now as we begin lap 10. Down to P13 as PJ clears him into 1. But can he try and get him back on corner exit up towards turn 3 here? Not looking like it. A better exit for PJ is all he needed. EJ now being passed by Cott, so both Ferraris now in the Alpine's mirrors, and he'll begin to try and chase down Brashman 2 seconds in front, and AT holding that place as those 2 go toe-to-toe up towards turn 4 now. It's still Dan leading. He's pulled 1.2 seconds on Che. Pope in 3rd, 1.6 back. Landlord still chasing. Imri not far behind either. HP Cook still in P6, still in DRS range. And everyone's still all gunning for position here. Everything to play for, and another 26 laps to play for it in. Ethan slightly off his line there from turn 7. Will he see trying to see JB take advantage? Number of cars in the pit lane here. Several cars, 4 cars coming in. HB Cook, Imri, Landlord, Che, all stopping here. And of course, tyre wear has been a big issue over the course of things so far. We heard a lot in practice about these guys complaining about how long the soft tyres run. We're looking at about 9 laps on mediums here. So we're looking at hards for almost the entirety of the field. Everyone's stopped there going on to hard tyres. And that is only 6 cars have stopped, but they're all looking at hards. And I can't imagine it'd be too long before we see both Dan and Pope in. Of course, these two were the ones running 1 and 2 during the Monaco race just 3 weeks ago. We had the exact same circumstance. Grumio not on the grid, and Dan's taking advantage of both Che and Imri in the opening stages. He's in complete control of things here and will stay out for a bit longer, I imagine. But will Pope come in? Pope is pitting. Yes, he is. Medium tyres, doing 10 laps or so for Pope at best. If we look at a pit stop then for the Season 11 champion. Conley Goblin penalty there once again. Brashman, Cott, Ben, PJ all stay out. Number of cars coming in. Should be under pressure from Cottney Goblin there. Oh, contact again. And Obsessed Game has lost a bit of front wing. Che takes advantage, goes dancing past. Just never get the traffic now. And Che looking to try and clear 3 cars here. He has cleared 3 cars. Fantastic. Obsessed chasing Cottney now on the run towards turn 4. And they're trying the outside. A bit of a send from Obsessed. He can make this pay off. He might, you know. Not to be for the minute. Cottney Golden gets back past. But what a move that would have been if Obsessed managed to clear him around the outside at turn 4. 10th trying to get involved here. She's on the tail of JB once again. Landlord and Pope both in front of Imri. But potentially these guys will be stuck in traffic. Could pay into Imri's hands. Right on the tail there, his former teammate as they head towards turn 9. Obsessed pitting to repair that front wing. And Imri getting around his teammate there, but falling off pace a little bit as Landlord makes the pass and JB Pope follows him towards turn 1, darting to the inside. JB being swallowed up here. Hard tyres for everyone now in the field. It's Imri to try and get around JB as well. Side by side up towards turn 3. Both cars with DRS. Battle of the brakes. Imri comes out on top around the outside. But JB's still there on corner exit. Imri, though, moves up into 9th place. And will continue to try and chase Pope and Landlord. Che's always made his stop. Dan, that top 6, the 1 car yet to pit. JB, 10th, Cottney, PJ, Brashman, Cott and Dan. We get to stop, but here comes Dan now. And the hard tyres not lasting too long here. We're definitely looking at 2, perhaps even 3 stops in this Grand Prix. Che around the outside there, making the pass on PJ into 4th place. And he may well take the lead potentially away from his teammate. Dan nearing the pit exit. There he goes. It's going to be very close here between the 2 of them. And Che narrowly comes out in front. Very close between the pair of them. And Imri, a 2nd penalty there. May have got caught out at turn 1 potentially. And is falling off pace. Brassman now passing Cott. These 2 racing for the lead here. Even if they are both yet to stop. I wouldn't have thought I'd see Cott leading this race today given the Q1 struggles. But here he is, fighting for position up front. Around he goes. And he saves it narrowly. Sorry, he called me as I was having a drink of water, but Cott recovers the car, lucky to avoid damaging it, but falls away now from Brashman. That moves Che and Dan into 2nd and 3rd as they continue to race for what will be a net P1 when they inevitably catch Brashman here, and they are catching him at a rate of knots. As Cott pits then. Gone as far as he can go on those hard tyres, it seems. Imri now into P6 again, so the top 5, top 6 from earlier on, and almost all together again. Che and Dan making the pass on Brashman. Dan had to outbreak the RB a bit more. Che taking advantage, trying to pull away. See Dan on much fresher hard tyres compared to his teammate. As HB Cook now gets a penalty as well. So Imri and HB Cook both have penalties. 6 seconds for Imri, 3 for HB Cook, and Dan's looking good right now because of course his teammate's also got a penalty as well. So Che needs to try and pull 3 seconds on Dan, which has been easier said than done based on today. Fantastic Grand Prix it's been so far, very chaotic. And a number of cars now, medium tyres. 10th, Cot, Obsessed and PJ. 4 of them gunning for the faster tyre here. Brashman now pitting, that'll move everyone up together again. Yellow flag in the last corner. Not quite sure who that is actually. No real concern then. It may have just been Cotney into the pit lane. I'm not entirely sure what that was, but Cotney's in. And he's taking those hard tyres, 15 laps. It's now a set of mediums for him. He's away. Brashman also emerged onto medium tyres. Pushing it a fair bit there on pit exit. Lucky to avoid the barrier, waiting for him out of turn 1. Towards turn 3, he can find himself side by side with Ericsson going in towards the right-hander. Neither car emerging on top on this occasion for the minute, but there goes Brashman taking full advantage there. Back up front here, we're still looking at the 2 Haas cars, 1 and 2, 7/10 covering the pair of them. Pope 3 seconds back in 3rd place, Landlord chasing him. HB Cook now 2.4 behind, Imri 1.3 back, so real struggles for these guys at the minute. And of course, Imri may well lose P6 as well, thanks to AT being for 4 seconds back, although AT's got 3 seconds of his own, so Imri's safe right now as Cock gets a penalty. We're looking at a lot of cars, I think, with penalties come the end of this race, and we're already nearly halfway through. Been fantastic so far. There goes Dan now looking for the lead again. Blasting past his teammate there with DRS, cool as you like. And caught another penalty for him. He is struggling here. 6 seconds now in the space of about a lap or so. And the safety car's out. I'm not entirely sure what... Oh! Scott's gone around there. He's at a spin, leaving turn 1. Well, there we go. That makes complete sense now. Safety car out, and that'll bring everyone close together again. And that could make things a lot more interesting. No one's retired from the race, so I've got to imagine it was Cott. He's the only car I could see with issues. And there it is. The front wing is gone completely from the Alpine. Tough race for him so far, after making such strong progress in this thing. But I'd say the race isn't over for him yet. There's still a long way to go. I think we should see everyone likely stay out. Stan and Shelley a bit close for comfort there going into turn 10 as Pope actually pits in. So we're going to actually scrap that. We may see a few cars pit. Pope and Landlord both in. HB Cook and Imri staying out. What's AT doing? AT stays stays out. EJ stays out. Ben, same thing. No takers for the minute. As everyone comes through turn 9. Curtis will join a few cars coming in. So will Ericsson. Obsessed taking advantage. Ted Cannon. Will she pit too? She's slowing up. I think she will though. Yes. JB pitting as well. So these cars a little back safe for Courtney Goblin. And Cott. Oh, sorry. I think Cott probably should pit. Give him that damage. But he's carrying on for now. Ted Cannon away there. Medium tyres going on. So everyone then brought close together again. And 10 of the 19 cars on circuit with penalties of some kind. Che, HB Cook, Imri, AT will have penalties. Courtney Goblin, same thing. He's got 9 seconds to his name. Cott has 6. Curtis has 3. 3 for 10th and JB. And 12 for Obsessed Gamer. Not a strong day for Obsessed to add to reserves in for Websy today. Not good so far. But Dan will be rubbing his fingers here. Rubbing his hands, rather. at the prospect of all 4 cars having penalties. Pope, same thing. Him and EJ, as it stands right now, stand to gain the most. And EJ only scored 7 points all season. If he can, by some method keep up with this lead pack, you never know. Could he be looking potentially at an RDL podium? It's unlikely, given how much race there's left to run, and in fact he's got Landlord right on his tail, but on those fresh mediums. But you never know. And that is the beauty of the RDL. You never quite know what's going to happen next, especially at this circuit of all places. This has been a bull ring in several senses of the word in the course of the last few seasons, and of course I think my entire time commentating here as a whole, as Cott now does pit to repair that damage. But this race really could go anyone's way, and of course if Dan gets a penalty too, then that'll open things up completely. And it'll be those guys with 3 seconds that stand to gain the most. Pope obviously with 0 as well. Also, as I say, stands to gain. But should everyone get at least 3 seconds, it could be game on. And it'd be a real mathematician's task to try and figure out who will be where in the order to come to the checkered flag. We're looking like there's going to be 16 laps to go when we get back underway. No takers in terms of tyres for the minute. Everyone seems to be all comfortable with what they're on. Just waiting now on 10th. JB, Obsessed and Cott. I mean, in comes Emery now. Emery making a change. Gets the car slow for the pit lane, so he's going to sacrifice track position here. Same for Cottney Goblin also coming in. Into zone for Emery. And that could be rain. I mean, it doesn't look much like it here. I mean, the track seems quite sunny, but things are clouding over. So what does Emery know mean that we don't? What's Cottney done? Cottney's on medium tyres. Has Emery made the wrong call? We'll have to wait and see here. What's Emery waiting for? Is there rain coming again? Because it's gone quite bright since we go back underway again in terms of the race. Of course, it was cloudy when we started. It's brightened up by comparison, but is there a move waiting here for Emery that we don't know about yet? Of course, we don't get the weather information in terms up here in the comms box. So we have to make do with what we've got in terms of just simply watching the sky. As the safety car comes in this lap, what is Emery got up his sleeve? That'll be the question. We'll see if he pits on the restart, whether or not that'll be a mistake that they've made on the pit wall at Red Bull, which may well sacrifice any chance of points today, let alone the race win. Things getting slightly cloudier here. Clouds looking darker in the distance. So it could be anyone's game. But as of right now, our focus is in front. As Dan will lead Che and HB Cook back to the line. AT 4th, Pope 5th, EJ, Landor, Ben, Ethan, Brassman, your top 10. And Dan is stretching his lead already. Getting moving here, leaving turn 9. And with 16 laps to go here in Austria, we are back to green flag racing on lap 21. Fantastic start there for Dan. Obsessed Gamer, 3-second penalty again here, really struggling. Emery says no inters, so what is the game plan here? Are things going to get darker? I have to keep an eye on the sky. HB Cook Landor on his tail as they leave turn 1. Pope identically making the move on Landor. Might try and challenge into turn 3 now on the defending race winner. In towards the right hander they go. And Pope taking advantage of Landor on corner exit. Still there on the outside. Very tight between them. And Pope making the pass by half a car length. They're still side by side towards turn 4. Landor outbreaks Pope again. I'm getting my facts wrong. That's AT. I am so sorry. That's AT in the McLaren, who is challenging as I get myself crossed up. There goes Pope regardless, passing either one of the McLarens. Now they're both going to go wheel to wheel potentially. Yellow flag. That's just the game being buggy. Landor tries the outside now on his teammate. I think he heard me calling his name, and he's made the pass there nice and easy around the outside of AT. P5 for the former series champion. Dan now leading by 0.8 over Che. They've both got 2 seconds. HB Cook as Pope follows in their wake. Things getting cloudier here by the looks of it. Emery is there on the inters waiting for any rain. We've got to assume there's rain coming. He wouldn't be this committed to it if there wasn't. As Pope makes the pass, gets himself onto the podium here. Of course, has no penalty to think about either, as Landor tried to send him 2 around turn 3. Ericsson penalty there. And Obsessed with a 5th one. Sorry, a 6th penalty. 18 seconds for him. It's a tough race from so far. And again, Dan and Che picking up where they left off. But the rain is... Okay, it looks like there must be rain coming because it's getting cloudier and cloudier here. And Imri want to try and take advantage of that. He's about 13 seconds back from Dan as it stands. EJ penalty now as well. Just 7 cars with no penalties in this race right now. 7 of 19, that's over half. 14 laps to go. Cotter penalty, Courtney Goblin with penalty. Both cars had them already. There's a look at them. Majority with 3. As Imri gets a third one there. And I think even if he does take advantage of everyone else in terms of tyre strategy, that's going to be quite a gap to close. You have to rely on Dan getting a penalty or 2. Pope getting one as well. Landlord. Those 3 guys are all content to try and win this thing. And both Pope and Landlord looking to try and chase Che down. Both of them within range to try and nab the podium place under Che's nose. Might be up to Dan here to try and keep Che to an advantage potentially. As Curtis makes the pass on his teammate there for P7. Still clouding over here. JB passing 10th Cannon for P14. Those two going side by side. Up towards turn 6. 10th has the inside line. And JB on the outside there takes full advantage of the grip there he had leaving turn 7 as Cott looks to try and fight his way around. He's got his teammate behind him for company obsessed. Courtney P18, Imri P19, 15 seconds back now. There's got to be rain coming. You've got to think there is. Brashman penalty now. And that's 13 cars now with penalties. And here's hoping that we don't end up with a full house. Ethan penalty. And that's another one there. 14 drivers with penalties. It's getting closer and closer to that full house. And as 18 and HP Cook go side by side, the Sauber wins out. Can Curtis try and get involved too? He can't for the minute. His teammates he's not putting him under pressure behind. There goes AT again to the outside here, looking at turn 4. Can he try and make that move? He can't do it. The inside line's the place to be. HP Cook holds on to P5 narrowly. There goes AT again. To the inside now, going in towards turn 6. And he clears in that time. And there it is. The rain's arrived. Yellow flag. Hey, Ericsson's around. Recovers the car. Gets moving again. 12 laps to go for Dan in front. But the rain is here now. Imri 17 seconds back with 9 seconds of penalties as it stands right now. So it's looking like it's going to be a tough effort for Imri to win this race. He's gone for broken. I wonder if it perhaps has slipped. I see the first few cars here. 10th, Obsessed, Courtney Goblin all pitting for what I assume has to be intermediate tyres. And we should see a huge gaggle of cars pitting now as Imri takes P15 away. Almost 20 seconds back from the lead now. And Dan and Shane not struggling enough on the hard tyres just yet. The track not wet enough, I think, to go for the intermediates at the minute, but they're sliding around. It's actually raining quite quickly here. The track might get wetter faster than expected. As those 3 cars emerge now, bottom 3 in the order. We're looking at around sort of 20 seconds or so in the pit lane. One of those 2 Haas cars has to stay out a bit longer because they're both fighting for the lead and they can't afford to double stack now. Not when there's points to the constructors on the line. Dan is taking his legs coming first, and Che, I thought for a second was going to run into him, but hasn't done that. Pope in as well. Pope at benefit here. Doesn't have to think about his teammate being up there with him to avoid a double stack. Conley's pitted already. Landlord in, of course, he also leads his team at McLaren double stacking here. Brashman in behind. A lot of cars coming in now. And Imri will gain a whole lot of spots. We'll see where he emerges compared to Dan, who stopped. And it looks as though the gamble has not paid off for Imri then. The rain took a few laps too long to arrive, but his tyres are now rubbered in by 6 laps. The question is, will they still last to the end? I should imagine they will. I've seen the rears burn awfully fast on intermediate tyres in this game. Could Imri perhaps be a victim to that? And of course, he has got those 9 seconds to think about too. He'll be hoping to avoid a safety car of any kind late on here to ensure that he comes home in a points-paying place. There goes Pope making the pass again on Imri in towards turn 4, but slides off. Well, not off the circuit, but offline, and Imri takes advantage of that, gets back through, switch back from Imri into P5. Slick move there from the Red Bull driver. Che, Ben, Ethan all staying out here for the minute. In comes Che, he's lost a fair bit of time here. But Dan needs to have the priority in this case. Given that he's got no penalty and he's racing for the championship lead. Again, that gap in the championship can go down to 51 points. Dan can gain a full race win on Grumio. Should he come through and win this thing without any issue. Che is emerging from the pit box now, nearing the pit exit. But I think Dan was definitely getting him here, up towards turn 1. There goes Dan into the race lead. Imrie now in second. But that's just on the racetrack here. Dan will emerge in what looks to be Che will emerge in what looks to be P4. Dan takes the lead. So we get a sense in the moment of your order as they run. And will likely be the positions to fight for in the closing laps here in Austria. So Dan leads from Imrie now second, Pope third, Che fourth, Landau fifth, ATP sixth, and it's Brashman, HB Cook, Obsessed, and Cotton your top 10 as Pope makes the pass. Imrie for second place, PJ P11. Sorry, they're going side by side down through turn 5. Sorry. Imrie nipping in front, but Pope there better drive off. Imrie trying the outside. He's got the grip on the high groove, and on corner exit pulling clear. Pope a bit wide there, sliding around a bit. Imrie takes full advantage. Che making the pass for be third place, of course, has that penalty to think about. So Pope and Landlord are sitting pretty here. They're on for the other 2 podium spots, but Dan looks on for the victory here. Unless something goes wrong in these final 8 laps of this race. No DRS here, so it's all down to slipstream and battery usage in the closing laps. It's going to be a very exciting finish between these guys as they all score for those podium places. But it looks as though, obviously, Dan and Landau are the favourites. But if they both get penalties, it's game on. Che closing on Imrie here. Looking to make a send on the Red Bull into turn 4. Can't do it. Keeps the car on the wraps. Again, 5 drivers yet to take a penalty in this race. Those drivers being Dan, Pope, Landlord, PJ, and Ben. I think all 5 of those guys will be rewarded for their actions on track today. Imrie holding on to things right now. As it stands, looking to finish in P5. So it only end up at the back of this train potentially. It's going to be close as Landlord gets hit with a penalty of his own now. And that'll make things difficult. That'll put Che back in the driving seat here for a podium finish in third. 8 laps to go. Dan makes the move on to lap 29. Imrie 3 seconds back from the leader. Che going for the move into turn 1. Thinks better of it. Moves back into line. Keeps himself in behind, tucked up behind that Red Bull's gear, behind the rear wing of that Red Bull. Pope is there on corner exit 2. P4. Landlord obviously P5. And dropping back a little bit here. Struggling as Pope tries to close in on the 2 cars in front of him. Che still not going for it. Perhaps setting up for turn 3. Close to contact between the pair of them. Can Pope squeeze in and take advantage? Not for the minute. Use some battery as Che follows Imrie's wake. Imrie tries to cover him off, can't do it. Che making the pass on the inside there. They're side by side. Che clears him, and Pope may try and send again, not going for it. Imrie trying to squeeze back in front of Che potentially if he can, but can't do it. EJ penalty there. He's got 6 seconds now. And now just 4 cars with no penalties in this race. Imrie going for second place again on Che into turn 6. Can't do it. Brashman there, P7 by himself for the minute. HP Cook P8 on for some more points. Obsessed in P9, but stands to lose a lot of spots here. He will likely be the last car in the order today. And PJ rounds up the points. Ben there in P11. Those guys take full advantage to a number of cars in front potentially. Could finish as high as P8 and P9. It's getting about 2 spots each. 7 laps to go. And again, Pope stands to gain P2 if he stays where he is right now. Only about a second or 1.3 seconds off of Che in second with that penalty to think about. And that safety car brought everyone close together as there goes Pope now making the move on Imrie into turn 3. Imrie leaves him all the space in the world. They're going through turn 3 and on corner exit. Pope edging in front. Can Imrie tuck in and go for it again? He's got very little battery. Yellow flag behind them. Car off as caught for a second time spinning out of turn 1. I think he's got himself moving again. Recovered it, but down to P18 now. A long way back. But Pope now into a third place outright. It'll be a net second place unless he loses another second half to Che, who's starting to pull away now. And Haas still dominating this thing as they have done for the first 30 laps. And Dan is 6 laps away from his second win of the season. And becomes just the second driver other than Grumio to take more than one win this season. There's only been 3 race winners in the first 11 races this campaign. 8 of them have been Grumio. 1 each to Dan and Pope. That could be 2 for Dan. As I say, in 6 laps time as the rain continues to fall here in Austria. Again, still just those 4 drivers. I think we can't possibly go for a full house here in terms of everyone getting a penalty in this race. I've never seen that before, even on this circuit. So the rain continues to pound the Styrian Mountains. Pope trying to pull a gap on Imrie, but simultaneously Che is pulling a gap on Pope. He's 2.3 in front now. So Kuster, we're looking at a 1-2, and of course that's a big gain for Haas, the constructors, even as is. With JB down in P13 and Grumio not here, out of the picture completely. It's looking like it could be a full 43-point gain here for Haas to bring their lead to 52 points in the standings. Be a big boost their ambition in the constructors as we near the halfway stage of the campaign, which will be next week in Belgium, the third 100% race of the season. And Che with a second penalty there. And that could put him in trouble with Landlord and AT. Or rather, just Landlord, sorry. Yellow flag. And that is caught a third time going around. This time at exit turn 4. Recovers it. Moves on again. Last of the running cars. I think may end up emerging as the last place car today. Despite just getting around 21 seconds of penalties. It's going to be close on that front. Tough day for Cop today in the end. Imrie and Landlord nose to nose into turn 3. Landlord wins out on this occasion. Imrie's fallen back and Cott is slow there as it goes up towards turn 9. Recovers it, whatever's going on. Pope now 2.5 behind Che here as he really slides into turn 4. Trying to find some more time, but as a result, Link loses a 10th potentially. Rounds turn 9 again. 2.8 the gap now, and Pope is, well, obviously we're still looking at 6 seconds penalty wise. So I actually think Pope should actually be alright. But if he loses another 3 seconds in the next 4 laps, then he'll lose out on second place. And I'm sure he won't want to do that. And if Dan gets penalty 2, he's in position to try and take advantage. But he needs Dan to have 2 penalties, I should think. He's currently 4.9 behind. He's really losing time now to those 2 cars. 4.9 off the lead, 3.1 off of Che in second. So set for P2 right now. And Imrie failing to close the gap here to Landlord later on. Yellow flag again. Caught again with problems there down at turn 7. What a race it's been, this. Complete chaos as always around Austria. Penalties galore. That safety car obviously playing into things. Imrie took a big risk going on to intermediate tyres with the safety car restart. Didn't pay off for him. I think he wanted that rain to come a bit earlier than it did to try and gain any time from that. Of course, he was almost 20 seconds back by the time the rain was heavy enough to switch to inters. And Dan has taken full advantage as a result. Che now 3.3 in front of Pope. Props to Cop for continuing on here, doing a remarkable job. Valiantly pushing on to the end. Dan, though, 3 laps from victory. His teammate can't beat him here unless he gets 2 penalties of his own. I'll have to ask him post-race if he is close to a penalty at all. I can't imagine he's gone the entire race without warning. But of course, props go to those 4 cars who have got no penalties in this race. Dan, Pope, PJ and Ben. And those guys will likely be looking at around at highest P7 for PJ. Those guys want to fight here for these last few spots. As PJ is gunning to try and take Obsessed up towards turn 3. I think, honestly, can stay where he is right now, but may go for it anyway. On the Alpine in towards turn number 3. There he goes at the inside. And looking for the position and taking the position for a second. But Obsessed getting it back on corner exit. Second win on the run towards turn 4. Can he try and clear? Get Aston Martin again. Cop penalty 12 seconds from now. It's still side by side down towards 4. And PJ wins out there. Caught slow on corner exit here. And recovers it. About to go a lap down here to Dan, who's got just 2 laps to go. 10th cannon penalty. It's the second of the evening. And caught here. We'll try and finish the race. Leave that blue flag's in play. There he goes. So the 2 Haas cars get through there, putting Cott a lap down again. Tough race for Cott. It's been all over. I think it's been all over the shop today, in terms of position. Going on there with damage, so still carrying on with the end plate lost on the car. Pope still looking at a second place finish here. Landlord and Imri look set for their spots. I'm thinking that Imri will still come out in P6 here. He needs about another second and a half on AT to come away with P5 in this thing, thanks to the 3-second penalty for AT. Unless, of course, the McLaren gets one more penalty. PJ and Ben now both home past Obsessed. And those guys both looking here at higher points paying places than they're getting right now. Fantastic drives from the pair of them to hold on as it has been on the circuit with these conditions as Dan comes through to start the last lap of this race. One more lap to go in Austria. Dan leads Che. Pope is still on for 3rd place as it stands right now, unless he loses 1.2 seconds on this last lap. And Che is still chasing his teammate valiantly, perhaps looking to try and fight for the win on track in the closing laps here. Do we get a last lap spectacle here between the 2 Haas cars as both Brashman and Curtis to get penalties? And 15 of 19. All 19 cars will see the flag, but only 4 of them penalty free. The 2 Haas cars have been comfortable and dominated today. Dan's led almost every single lap in this thing. Of course, Che took advantage of Imri at the start. These two went toe-to-toe, and Dan came away with no penalties, and that's what's won in the race here, because that's what's given him priority between the pair of them. In terms of pit strategy, in terms of track position, it's all worked out very nicely for these 2 cars. And they're set to gain, as I say, 43 points in the championship. Sorry, no, scrap that. Set to gain, I believe it is 40 points in the standings, thanks to Pope being there in P3 still. He'll take P2 away from Che, unless P gets penalty in the last 2 corners. But Dan, though, is penalty-free as Che goes sliding wide behind them. The 2 Haas cars come round the last corner, take the checkered flag after a chaotic race here at the Red Bull Ring. And Daniel Aron wins for the 2nd time this season. He takes victory in Austria. Che crosses the line in 2nd place, and Pope will come through to take P2 overall. Che in 3rd place. Landlord 4th. Imri P5, I think we'll lose out to AT. We will take P5 away. Imri P6, tough day for the pole sitter. Brashman here, 12 seconds to his name and penalties. Will likely fall out of the points. Got a number of cars trailing here on the run towards the flag. It will be PJ taking P7, Ben P8, HP Cook P9, Brashman P10. Obsessed to fall down the order. Sorry, JB though, nabs the last point in the end. Brashman P11, EJ P12, and Curtis. Sorry, Ethan P12, Curtis, EJ P13, Curtis P14, 10th, Cottony, Obsessed, Ericsson, and Cott. That's your order. Took a second there to figure everything out. But Dan wins it then, a 2nd win of the season. His 2nd multi-win campaign in 2 goes. And brings the gap down to 51 points then in the Drivers' Championship. I'm very pleased down the podium. Haas bring home the bacon in a 1-3 finish. Pope comes home in 2nd place there. Fantastic drive for him too. Again, one of those 4 cars with no penalties. Richly deserved podium, and a good 18 points for Pope to help him try and push himself in closer to Landlord in P5 in the standings. Brilliant Grand Prix all round. Chaotic as always in Austria, but great fun all the same. But Haas on top, and Dan is your winner. And that'll do us then in terms of all the action today here in Austria. And well, just richly enjoyable race from everyone there. And we'll get post interviews underway shortly, and we'll have a look into who wants to have a word with us after what was a very, very enjoyable race, to the least. Number of cars there and continues to win it. we'll see who gets to have a chat following that very exciting race. Let us know your thoughts down in the chat below. As we wait now for the first people to arrive in the commentary box to get post interviews underway. I have to ask Dan in terms of how many warnings he had, because I don't believe he had 0 warnings in that whole thing. He had some end mistakes somewhere, but I imagine he must have been awfully close in terms of those track limits. But very close all the way around. And we'll see who comes in for a word. And just waiting here for any appearance in the commentary box. See if we can get a few words out of anyone. Of course, props to Haas for taking full advantage of Grimio's absence. And in particular, Dan for winning the race. Of course, he needed those points badly. I think everyone needs those points, to be fair. It's been a chase for the majority of these guys to try and keep Grimio. And there is our race winner emerging here in the chat. Dan wins for the second time this season. Dan, congratulations. Chaotic race, say the least, mate. Give me your thoughts.
I didn't see too much. Obviously, majority was behind me, I think. But yeah, obviously the rain and the safety car. Like, was it best to pit for new tires? I decided to keep track position because I'd only just pit, so thought it's the best way. Timed it right with the pit stop as well, and got out in front of Imri, who I think managed to hold up Pope and Landlord behind to just give me a bit of breathing space against Che as well. Che was flying at the end. So, yeah, a shame about his penalties. Could have been a really good 1-2 for us. But, you know, double podium. I think it's been a while since we've really made the most of one of those. So, yeah, good race.
How many warnings did you have over the course of the thing? Because I refuse to believe that you, because obviously you're one of 4 cars to not get a penalty. I think it was you, Pope, Ben, and I'm losing my memory already. I'll get off my screen. But yeah, I mean, were you close to a penalty at all?
No, I didn't have a warning.
You're kidding me. 36 laps, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
I'm gonna have to see something to verify that, because given how chaotic the race was, I don't believe you at the minute.
I'm sure someone has recorded the race director somewhere. I don't think I got a warning because it said every time it said, "Oh, clean lap X30" or something at the end. So yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so I'll have to take your word for it for now. But obviously, you did what you needed to do to try and take advantage of obviously eating into Grimio's lead in the championship. 51 points now. Should Grimio miss more races, are you confident you can try and get those wins and try and catch back up with him?
We'll see. I have to start beating him on track now to really make this a bit more of a fight. Yeah, because I think I finished behind him 4 times this season. So yeah, getting a bit frustrating seeing his rear wing, but I need to really just take it to him a bit more, be a bit more aggressive. I was a little bit more aggressive last week in China, but just made I think the right move at the wrong time, I think.
Fair enough. But I mean, obviously, second half of the season coming up, Belgium next week. Are you confident you can take the fight to him there?
We'll see. It's a 100% race. I think only me and him have 100% races since they've been introduced every 4 rounds. So yeah, we'll see. A bit of strat testing to do, I think, and yeah, hopefully we can, both Che and I can fight him.
And obviously, big gains in the constructors too. You guys think sitting currently, I want to say 52 points in front. I could be wrong on that because obviously the 1-3 in the end and the 1-2. I was counting the 1-2 the entirety of the race, just try and see points wise what that would be. But I've lost my maths, so we'll think about that later on. But obviously, good job on the victory. Fair play to you over the course of the entirety of the Grand Prix. And I'll start to get someone to verify whether you did get a penalty or a warning or not. We'll come now to Obsessed, who of course reserved in this race in place of Webbsy. Obsessed, obviously, back in the saddle after a couple of weeks. With this is another race in a row you're going for it. But I mean, 21 seconds was the penalties perhaps the biggest concern today?
The penalties were a little bit of a concern once they got to about 12 or 15 seconds, I kind of stopped caring a little bit because I figured that's my race done and I'm reserve anyway. I'm gonna lose all of the positions as they don't count. I just mostly looked at kind of where I finished on track, which was 11th, which I'm pretty proud of. I know I was in the back for a lot of the race. When that rain started, it happened at the perfect time. I saw the first few drops coming down at like turn 10, and I pitted that lap and went on to the inters, and I think that really helped. I gained 6 places because of that.
Obviously, you're fighting in the midfield for a paired portion of the race. Was there any one you enjoyed fighting in particular for position?
Um, I don't really remember a lot of the fights that I had. I have a really bad memory when it comes to things like that. Um, I know PJ and Ben pulled like the same exact move on me in the wet, just a lap apart. Um, but yeah, I mostly just kind of tried to stay within DRS, but that was about it.
Fair enough, but of course, like I said, overall, we're pleased in terms of performance, in terms of pace.
Yeah, I think the pace could have been a little better. Last night I did a 50%, and I think I had a lot better pace. That was against the AI, and the AI have janky braking points, especially on the last turn. I know I gained a lot of my positions from that, but yeah, I think that the pace probably could have been better today.
Fair enough. And I'll ask you in terms of next week's race in Belgium, is there a chance to be able to get potentially be in as a reserve for that, or are we looking for your next appearance a bit further down the line?
Um, I'm not 100% sure. There's maybe like the smallest possibility of reserving next week in Belgium. Um, I'm moving into college this Thursday, and classes start on Monday. So depending how long the first class actually takes, I might be able to race because it's just syllabus week. So we just go over the syllabus and that's it.
Gotcha. Fair
We'll
enough.
definitely have to see.
Sounds good. Hopefully, we'll be able to see you back in here again at some point over the course of the season. Obviously, I think goes to saying good luck to everything in terms of college from all of us here in the RDL, and obviously look forward to seeing you back on the track in hopefully the next few weeks or so. And we'll come now to 10th Cannon, who I think had an equally frustrating day today behind the wheel 10th. Perhaps not on pace compared to last week in the end 10th.
I mean, you saw it. We all saw what happened. I was very slow. I'm really disappointed with how that went, to be honest, because I thought I was going to have half a shot. But out in Q1, spent all of the race out of the points actually. Was last at one point. I have nothing more to say. That was just terrible from me.
Fair enough, mate. If that's the case, then I won't pry in terms of questioning me. Actually, the safety car
Go for it. I don't mind.
did that play into hands at all, or was it played against you almost?
Oh no, it played perfectly. I pitted as soon as the Oh wait, no, the safety car. Sorry, I'm thinking of the rain. It didn't really do anything either way. It was just kind of there. The tire wear was really high, higher than I've ever seen in any race, ever. So yeah, I think I pitted under the safety car because I was like, well, it's either that or I lose 20 seconds under a green flag. So yeah, I mean, it just didn't really change my race, to be honest.
You said the rain came at almost the perfect time. What was that about?
Well, it just started raining, and I think I saw a bunch of people go past the pits. But me and I think it was Obsessed and JB who were behind me. We all pitted at the same time because we thought, oh, it's raining. We're getting tires. So we all pitted for inters, and it worked out. We all got to, or it might be Cottney actually. We got to, we jumped everyone in front of us basically. Not everyone, but we got in the pack and we got some good positions. I think had I waited a lap, I probably would have been like last, but I wasn't. So I guess there's one positive.
There's always positive to be found after a race like that. And last question, obviously, looking to head to Belgium next week, 100% race. We're looking forward to Belgium as a track.
I won't be there in Belgium. I'm in
Ah.
Gloucester next week, so I will be back. What's next after that? It's
Hungary.
Zandvoort. Oh God. Well, I guess I'll spend the time that I have now and between now and the next race I'm at, practicing. I think I found something that I can improve on that'll make me less poor. So, hopefully that works. I want to be scoring points again. It's not the most fun. It. I had some fun racing. It was really fun racing with JB and Obsessed and the guys around me. But yeah, I'd rather be giving something to this team rather than just being another car that's on the track.
Fair enough. I mean, we'll be. I think that's big for everyone. So we'll be intrigued to find out what this bit of pace can try and pick up is for the next Grand Prix. So obviously, looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time when you're back on the circuit.
Thank you.
And we'll come now last of all to JB, who of course did wind up in the points at the very end there. P10 finish after penalties were applied. JB obviously good job on the points at the end. The Q1 elimination. I wanted to ask about that because what happened in Q1?
Just didn't really do a good enough job. Both my second and third run, I had to use all 3 sets of tyres, and yeah, every time I was a couple of tenths up, and then I'd lose it. Either I think the last run I lost it at turn 1 because I had a massive moment, and unfortunately that 2 tenths was sort of getting into Q2. So it was very close though. I mean, to be 1.2 seconds off the leader and be 18th is quite a testimony to how close everyone is. But yeah, just one of those things, and it did make things difficult coming back through the field, but I was more than happy to take home a point.
Fair enough. I mean, continue on in terms of the stuff about qualifying, because obviously we've always thought qualifying sort of back and forth. We never quite know where you're going to end up. Is it becoming more of a concern recently? Can I ask?
Not a concern. I mean, last week I got into Q3. I think it's just a matter of getting your setup right. And today I don't think I did. I think I had too much wing on, which made me really slow on in the first sector. So yeah, I'm not worried. It's just the reality is, unfortunately, the controller players are a little bit of a disadvantage compared with last game. So you have to find another, tenth or two to what you would have had to last game. So just one of those things. But at the same time, there were some really good performances today, like PJ, who has had a really rough start to the season, and he's managed to come 7th. So yeah, no, not an excuse, but just one of those things you have to be wary of.
Yeah, Ben and PJ getting points later on thanks to the lack of penalties on their end. Obviously, I mean, I'm not sure if you knew at the end, but we have 15 of 19 drivers get penalties. So obviously, props to those 4 cars who made it to the flag with that. I'm told Dan didn't get a warning over the course of the race, which I don't believe.
Well, it's impressive, especially considering it was raining. To not go wide at all. Yeah, bravo.
How did the rain play out for you as well?
It was difficult. Well, my dry pace wasn't any better, so I can't complain. Unfortunately, as Tent alluded to, I pit a lap later than her and Cottony, and they both jumped me. So I then got stuck behind Cottony for the rest of the race. And you know what? Hats off to Cottony, because this has definitely been his best performance. So I can't complain. But just you have to judge it, and I didn't judge it right. If I'd picked that lap earlier, maybe I could have got after PJ and Co. But yeah, well, like I said, I'm definitely happy with 10th, considering where I was early in the race.
Hindsight definitely 2020 on that front. Of course, the last question in Belgium, obviously next week, 100% race. Are we looking forward to that? Because obviously first time we're doing Belgium full length.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the 100% races because they offer a bit of a different strategy. Belgium's always been quite easy on the tyres, so we'll see if people can do maybe a 1-stop. That would be quite a tough ask, I think, but it's possible around a track where you don't really see much tyre wear. But then again, this game tyre wear is much higher, so we'll have to see. I'm looking forward to it though, because yeah, like it's been said before, it offers a different kind of challenge, and we'll have to see what happens.
I share your excitement for next week. Looking forward to what should be a fantastic Grand Prix, which you can catch here on the Zach RC channel. Same time, same place on the 25th of August. So next week, the full-length Belgian Grand Prix. And that will let us do it for coverage for us here tonight. Thank you guys for showing up to post-race interviews. Fantastic Grand Prix overall to watch. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I did. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Have a fantastic evening, and we shall see you all next time. Goodbye.